Yay! Hello, welcome everyone to 10 Days of Pleasure. This is day number 8, and I'm really excited for a few reasons. First, this is the first live video that I've done for these 10 days. Second, I'm here with Wendy May. She's a really, really dear friend and sister of mine, and she's also an expert on purpose. And yeah, she and I have had many conversations really over the last couple of years, right, about pleasure and purpose. And we keep on saying, we need to talk about this publicly. This needs to be something that is more out there in the world.
We've been saying that for at least a year, maybe longer. Like, we should do a live about this.
Totally.
It just hasn't happened.
Totally. And it's, you know, in the work that I do with women, I see a connection come up a lot between sexuality and yoni work and reclaiming the female body and starting to get the sexual energy moving with purpose. So yeah, that's why we're here today, to share a little bit about it. So let's roll right into it. So what do you see the connection being between pleasure and purpose?
There's a super direct link, and I would say that part of what I'm talking about with the work that I'm doing with Regenerative Purpose is switching the dynamic and switching the dialogue around it a little bit. So there's a lot of self-help that kind of says, follow your bliss, follow your passion, kind of, you know, do what you love, right? These are all kind of memes that we've seen many, many different forms of over the years, right?
I think I have a notebook that says follow your bliss on the cover with like this beautiful ocean picture.
Yeah, like it's a very famous quote, right? Follow your bliss, which I would say yes, and I see pleasure as a portal to purpose, but not necessarily the end point. So for many years, I think people that are coaches and teaching in this area of purpose alignment have been more focused on what I would call a masculine version of purpose, which is sort of this linear, logical, goal-directed. There's one purpose and you need to figure it out, and then you have a strategy, and then you take steps to get there. And regenerative purpose, the model that I created and the book that I wrote, is what I would say is more of a feminine approach to purpose, which is more cyclical than linear, and it's more receptive, responsive, connected, interdependent, and not so individualistic or egocentric. So in this model of purpose, the idea about pleasure, the way that I see it is that it's really it's getting us out of jail, basically. So if you think about, like, we have all this conditioning and we have all this cultural norms and sort of brainwashing and programming and expectations and obligations and all of this stuff that feels really, really heavy that we've been taught by our education system, society, parents, peers, friend groups even, of what we should do and what our life should be like, right? You should get married at this age and then own a house and have 2 kids and drive an SUV, you know, the whole package of the sort of expectations of what we're supposed to do in life. And what I see is that pleasure is a way of really connecting with our sovereignty and getting out of the programming. Because pleasure is a way of connecting with our own inner voice and our own inner intelligence that allows us to kind of break free of the box that society wants to put us in. Right?
Oh my gosh.
It's this.
Can we just pause? Like, this is like, oh, this is so good.
Yeah.
Do you want to even just repeat what you said? Because I feel like if you can remember it, like, that sentence is gold, and it really sums up a lot of what we're sharing about pleasure and sovereignty.
Yeah, I don't even know what I just said, but just the idea that pleasure is ours. It's something that nobody else can own or control, and it's a way of connecting with our own deeper voice and intelligence and nature, actually. So the way that regenerative purpose works is that it is connecting with a deeper intelligence, and pleasure is a portal to that, right? So if you can connect with your pleasure, there's information there that is a guidance system that will get you out of this box. And sometimes we're following rules that we don't even realize that we've subscribed to, just because we've been brought up that way, and we just assume that that's the way life works, and we don't even really, we're not even conscious of the fact that we're being conditioned in the way that we show up the way that we choose our work or choose our partners or choose where we live or how we make money, right? All of these choices that we're making unconsciously. But when we connect to pleasure, it's sort of, it blasts through all that bullshit and allows us to connect. Like it's a shortcut to basically find out what's really true for us.
Wow, this is so beautiful, and I love it. It's like by connecting with our own pleasure, we're tapping into this universal intelligence. It's like, I often describe it as, it's life force energy, it's creative energy. Literally, pleasure is the energy that creates all of life. It creates human life. That's what we're born out of. So of course there's intelligence that exists in pleasure, and especially when we're consciously cultivating it for us, not so that we can fit into any box or like, you know, be liked more by this man or this woman or be more accepted. But when we really reclaim our pleasure for us, it's like, not only does it feel good, but it's like this intelligence, this wisdom, this intuition that is much larger than us starts to wake up. And something that women say to me all the time, and I absolutely experienced in my own life, is that once they start to tap into this pleasure, into this life force energy, it's like we no longer want to be spending the time and the energy in our lives doing shit that doesn't matter, right? Doing stuff that doesn't like absolutely light us up and feel like it's, you know, like our deepest and highest calling.
Yeah, we don't want to do things for others anymore. Basically, when we're connected to our purpose, we are able to locate ourselves as an individual spark within this like larger fabric of consciousness, right? We're like, okay, we're like this little node, and we have this sort of like individual, you know, calling or impulse or desire, and that is part of nature because we are part of nature. And this is the way that regenerative purpose unfolds, is really connecting to ourselves, our own nature, our true nature as being a part of nature, right? And the thing that I would add to that, this is the yes and part, is that purpose or pleasure is not the end point of purpose. The reason why I say it's a layover is that it kind of gets us out of jail, but it's not the final destination, right? Because I think there's also a little bit of a misconception that whatever your purpose is pleasurable or enjoyable all of the time. And I think that's also a mistake. Because at least in my experience is that my purpose work isn't always pleasurable or enjoyable, but what is there's this deeper sense of contentment and nourishment that comes when I'm in alignment with my purpose that's way beyond this like momentary high. It's beyond pleasure, it's actually more like bliss. And this comes from devotion. Devotion means that we commit to something beyond just feeling high, right? Beyond just the peak orgasm, right? It's like this deeper connection to truth that allows us to stay the course even when it's difficult, even when it's not pleasant or pleasurable all of the time, but that we're held there or called to that because we know that there's something bigger than our individual self and our individual desires and impulses and desires, right? So this is why I say it's sort of a layover on the way to purpose. So pleasure gets us out of the box, it gets us out of jail, but we don't want to just like stay there and, you know, hang out. We want to actually go beyond that to what is the higher calling. That purpose is sort of a signpost, or pleasure is a signpost to that, but it's not the whole thing, right? It's sort of like it's on the way there.
Yeah, and I love this, especially about like, it's not going to be like all bliss and pleasure all the time. It's like, I think there's kind of this misconception, and like people have reflected this to me also, like, oh, you're like, you do all this yoni work, like your life must be just like so fabulous and amazing. And I'm like, my life is beautiful and I'm a human, and like I still struggle, and like I go through the same up and downs that everyone does. So I love that you're bringing this in, that even work or a life that is aligned with purpose, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're just like, you know, flying high all the time.
Yeah, I mean, pleasure and pain, kind of two sides of the same coin. And actually in my book, in Regenerative Purpose, I talk about, I love acronyms, so I made up this acronym PAIN, meaning personally activating information. And I would say that applies to both pain, the way that we traditionally think about it as an ouch, a hurt, but it also applies to pleasure. Both pleasure and pain are basically sensations that tell us to pay attention to something in life. It's personally activating information, and it's unique to everybody, right? The things that impact you and affect you and activate you are necessarily going to be different than what activates somebody else, right? Yeah. That is our unique imprint, and it's our way of connecting with our design, our divine design for why we're here.
So beautiful. Yeah. I love this. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Thank you for giving us this download. And do you have a copy of your book here so you can just hold it up for people to see?
I have
like somewhere.
Here we go. This is Regenerative Purpose.
Yeah, so this is what we've been sharing about, and I think it's really beautiful that in the beginning you mentioned cycles, because this is something that I was talking about yesterday with Jamie, about the different seasons or the different cycles that we go through as people living in female bodies, and it's really just amazing and cool that it can be applied to purpose as well. It's like, I love Wendy's version of regenerative purpose, because it's not just like you find one purpose and then you're done and you can sit back and just be in pleasure for the rest of your life. It's like a constantly evolving and growing thing, just to pleasure, just to getting in touch with your female body. It's not like you just, one day you tick a box and it's like, okay, I'm connected with my yoni, I have a relationship with her, and I'm able to experience pleasure. No, the sky is the limit. It's literally a lifelong journey, just like purpose is, right?
And it's alive, so it's a wave, right? Yeah. There's ups and downs, there's birth, there's death, there's creation, there's destruction, and we're constantly in this cycle. And the practice of it is really, I talk about this in Regenerative Purpose, about the qualities of authenticity, attunement, responsiveness, and receptivity, being able to cultivate ways that we can engage with life so that we feel more alive. That's it. It's about being alive. It's about really living life.
Mm-hmm. And I think that pleasure supports this.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Amazing. Oh, Wendy, thank you so much for being here with us and for sharing your amazing wisdom and knowledge.
Yeah.
And can you share with all of our beautiful family where they can find you online if they want to look you up and stalk you and learn more?
My website is Hey Wendy May, HeyWendyMay. So you can find all of my stuff there.
And you can, of course, find her book. And she also runs some really amazing Purpose collabs, which are longer immersive programs for people who are wanting to go deeper into this whole, I really want to call it a new paradigm of regenerative purpose. So check her out on Instagram. She's also Hey Wendy May, right?
Yeah. Hey Wendy May also.
Amazing. So thank you so much for tuning in to 10 Days of Pleasure, to our day number 8 chat. I'm wishing you such a beautiful day wherever you are in the world, and we've still got 2 more days, and actually there's just so much to talk about, so you'll probably see me just continuing to share on pleasure, because there's a lot of juicy information that I am excited to bring to all of you.
Yay!
Yay!
We did it!
We did it! Woo! See you soon. Love you.